Heavy metal rock.
Global mind.
So I'm here today speaking to Lily. I'm Louise from My Global Minds. Hey Lily, how are you doing?
Hello, doing good, thank you. Thank you for having me. Thanks for taking the time.
Oh, you're very welcome. And Lily, you are the singer with the Meffs. So tell me all about the Meffs.
Well, they are the best band you'll ever hear, number one.
Definitely.
Oh, you agree? No, we're yes, that's the one. That's the record of last year, but this year as well.
Definitely.
We're a two-piece. We're from Essex, so sort of south of England, and we've been going since 2019. But we always take off the COVID years, so it's been about 3 years of actually like live playing and playing together, recording and that sort of thing. So yeah, we've known each other for about 10 years probably.
So what, you were friends before? You were just mates?
We weren't even friends. I think Lewis wouldn't mind me saying. We were like, we knew of each other and we were always with each other and we'd have a drink together, but we'd never like, we didn't have each other's numbers, for example. We wouldn't, you know, we'd call on. And then I just saw a picture of him drumming on an electric kit one day. And I messaged saying, do you want to do a band? And he went, what do you want to sound like? And I said, X, Y, and Z. And he said, yeah, right then. And that was it.
Just like that. And it was only like a year later, wasn't it? You released your demos album. So you didn't mess around.
No, we were eager to get that out. We wanted to have something that people would hear because, you know, we're in an age of like people want music at their fingertips, don't they?
Oh yeah, right now. Yeah.
Literally right now. So we had songs waiting and we thought, we had a mate in our hometown and he was like, I'll record you in a day. It will be live. We'll just put you in a room and we'll just record what you've got. And we were like,
amazing.
Do it, see what happens. Yeah, isn't it? So that's what we did.
And so it's Colchester you're from, isn't it? Colchester in Essex.
Yeah.
So did you play, like, when you started off, all those classic Colchester venues, like, you know, the Oliver Twist, the Arts Centre, the Student Union, all of those?
Well, we played, so the Arts Centre we played a couple of times. It's fantastic. It's such a good venue. Obviously, being an old church, like the get in there is pretty great anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, we mainly, I mean, the Twist went. So the Oliver Twist is like where I grew up in, basically, like a 14-year-old me going down there. That's gone. It's completely, it's shut down. That's definitely somewhere I wish we could have played. Like it was.
What a shame!
Yeah, it's a massive shame. That was the place, wasn't it? Like there were gigs every day of the week in Colchester.
Totally.
Yeah. But we've got like Three Wise Monkeys in Colchester now, so that's got the top floor venue, great venue. So yeah, we've definitely done the rounds in Colchester, if you like.
You've done them proud.
Oh yeah, and we still do. We still do it. We still play in Colchester, just not as frequently.
And this is, well, the last year has just been like amazing for you, hasn't it? So as well as, I can't help but plug this album because it is so great. You know, anyone who's not seen this album, you've got to get out there and buy it. Before we actually talk more about this album, I've got to have a little moment talking about this album because, my God, this vinyl is something else.
What have you got?
I have got.
Oh yeah.
Here.
Pretty. That's a nice looking vinyl.
Who came up with this?
So when we did the Broken Britain EPs, we had quite a few. Yeah, we had quite a few variants because that was just how the label worked. They wanted to be a 10-inch vinyl label, and they wanted to release variants for collectors because they've got a lot of collectors that follow them.
Okay.
So when we came to this one, it was just our first sort of this was our debut sort of full album, if you like. It wasn't a demo or an EP. We sort of set the boundaries all together at first, and we're like, okay, we might not have as many variants, but they still be extraordinary. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
It's something that people want. So we sort of stuck with the colour scheme, and we did like the silver splatter, which you've got. We've done the pink one. So we sort of kept with the vibe of the colour scheme.
Oh, fantastic. And even you've gone proper old school on it, haven't you? Because you've got the gatefold inside with all the pictures. Brilliant. And you've got all the lyrics inside as well. So like maximum sing-along value or shout-along value if you're inclined.
Exactly. I used to love that. If you think of like CDs and vinyl, like I remember, especially with CDs, getting the booklet and going through the lyrics. I remember like with the Distillers, it was like that was my favourite thing on Sing Sing Death House, was like getting the lyrics to all the songs that I couldn't hear.
I know. So. You miss that, don't you, now with like Apple Music and Spotify, because you don't get that. So you're listening to it and you're like, what did they say? It's not like when you could literally have it there and you could just sing along, properly get into it. It's so
true. So true. But it's important, and the pictures as well. Like that was Tom from the label that we're with. He was like, "How about doing just like loads of pictures together?" So we sort of sent loads and loads of live pictures, mainly Ola's pictures. So Ola, just random pictures on the road, and then there's a couple. Like now that you've shown him, there's a couple from a friend of ours called Alan, who actually passed away since that record came out. But his pictures made the record, so we were like really chuffed to be on there. So that's really cool.
Lovely tribute, is that?
Yeah. Really, really cool. Because he was like a massive gig goer in our town. Would go to everything, whatever he could go to. So that was really cool.
That's so cool. And when we were talking at 2000 Trees, you were telling me, because I was saying, like, do you have loads of people helping you out? And you were saying, literally, it's you, Lewis, and Ola. The three of you, you go and you do it all. You hump all the gear around, you take everything out. There's no, going on stage, plugging in and off you go for you. You literally, you do it all yourself. Yeah. And how hard is that? Because, I mean, now some of the venues you're playing are massive, aren't they? It's not like, playing the Arts Centre anymore.
Yeah, it's a balance, really, isn't it? It's about. I had this conversation the other day with a bloke from our hometown who we work with quite a bit with like rehearsals and stuff, and I sort of said at what point do we need a crew? Like how do you know when it turns? And he sort of gave me an estimate, but he was like, if what you're doing now is working, just keep doing it. Like you'll know when the time comes. So even on this upcoming tour that we're doing, like we are going out as a 3. We've made the decision that it will just be 3 of us. They're 600 them, but we were like, we're just going to do it. And we've got to lug the gear around. We don't have a crew or help to do that. So let's just do it. Like while we can, let's do it. And then obviously, like with the Alice Cooper tour we did last year, we did have 2 of our mates came along. So we had our mate from our hometown who also takes photos. He was lugging stuff and then taking some photos. And so we had 2 helpers. So there were 5 of us on that tour because we felt like we needed to look professional.
Particularly when you're up there with Alice Cooper. I mean, let's be honest, Alice Cooper does not travel light, does he? I mean, that stage set does not go in the back of a van, does it?
Imagine, he's got a snake on board, like, it's something else.
Did you hold the snake?
I didn't want to, cross that line of being like the annoying little like Essex kid who comes along and is like, Alice, can I hold your snake? So I didn't. But that was all right because we met Alice and that was good enough for me.
Oh, what was Alice like?
We met him for about 90 seconds.
Was that the photo?
Photo, yeah. So we saw the band regularly. So they came to sound checks and stuff. They came and watched us, which was cool. But he turned to me for that photo and he said, I don't know why they're still trying to take photos of me. Do they not know that I won't show up in photos? And then he walked off, and that was it. It was like as quick as anything, like it never happened. So yeah.
And that is your Alice moment that will never ever leave you.
It's crazy, but they were a lovely bunch. They were really nice, really accommodated, so that was cool.
Oh, that's amazing. And before we talk about your tour, tell me about recording with Frank Turner. Well, and touring with Frank Turner, but tell me about doing the recording on this amazing, amazing album of yours.
Well, we recorded the EPs with him, but that was very much a trial. I mean, I think we just got over the pandemic lockdowns. So then when it came to the full length, we thought, well, let's go back. The first came out great, so we went back. And it was just easy. It's just a working relationship that works. You know, do you know what I mean? Like there was no trying. Like we sort of formed a friendship, I guess, by the point of recording this second. Yeah. So he knew our sound. He knew what we wanted to achieve. But we were much more open for his ideas. So like we would go in and he wasn't just recording, he was producing it. So he had his ideas of what it did sound like, which is why I think it came out the way it did. It just came out so much better than the Broken Britain EPs. And not that they're bad, because we love them. We're, proper proud of them. But it just came out more authentic. It came out more us, because he knew what we wanted to go for.
Weirdly, and it sounds crazy to say, it's more punk, isn't it?
Yeah,
I don't know what it is about it, but it just feels more punk, which sounds bonkers because they're both punk, but this just feels more punk. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it felt like, I think in the EPs, we hadn't completely found our sound. Do you know what I mean? No. We were still trying out. It's always a political time, but at that time, we had it that was literally, actively happening while we were recording. And a lot of the focus, like a lot of my focus at that time due to work and stuff was on politics and was on what's happening. So essentially those two EPs are about British politics. That is what they're about. Whereas I think when we came to What a Life, there was more, my writing had changed. I was focusing on lots of things. It wasn't just about politics. It was about what comes from politics, like, way of living. What I was seeing around me it's broader, I guess, which is maybe why it sounds more sort of authentic in a way.
And I think, I think Clowns is a really brilliant track. It's so brilliant, about the NHS, isn't it? And it's such a brilliant track. And it's like you've kind of penned what everybody else is thinking. Yeah. It's really, really good. And when I heard that, it's no surprise you've released it as the single, because it is like the voice of Britain, isn't it, really?
We love that song. It was the song that we were playing before we released it. So we used to play it at shows and it went off every time. And it went off more than, even if no one had heard it before, it was the song, when it hit, it just went off more than been playing for a year. So like it was a no-brainer to release it first, because it just felt, we love it. People loved it. So why not?
Oh, definitely. So tell me about the tour.
Cool. So the upcoming tour is the What a Life tour. We released What a Life back in September. So leaving it this long is quite different. I think most people go out and tour straight away. But obviously we had the Frank tour and we had the Alice tour. Yeah. And we didn't want to keep postponing the record because we'd already sort of postponed it a little bit. But just get it out there. And I think it's going to work in our favour, because I think people will know the songs now, which is great. We're starting off in Birmingham on the 22nd of Jan, so this month. And then, we're travelling all over: Glasgow, Manchester, Nottingham, London, Brighton and Bristol. So 7 dates in the UK.
If people want tickets, how do they get them? Where do they get the tickets from?
They can go to our site, so they can go to our Linktree. So it's on all our social media, linktree.com/the Meffs. or directly you can go to AEG. So they're the AEG and DHP are the two promoters for this tour. So you can go to aegp.uk/the Meffs, and that's got all the UK ticket links. There are 2 more UK dates going to be announced, but they're not announced yet.
When are they going to be announced?
I don't know yet, but they're happening in April. That's all I can say.
Ooh, and can you tell us where they might be in the UK?
They're in parts of the UK that we haven't currently announced.
Oh,
yeah. So
when everyone
says, I think it's fair to say when everyone says, but it's not a UK tour, is it? Because you're not playing. So that's all I can say. That's all I can say.
Oh, that's going to eat away at me now.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you afterwards.
Okay, right. And then I have to keep it to myself, which will absolutely kill me.
Love it.
When we were talking at 2000 Trees, you were saying to me that every show you've ever played, every gig, you've always played a Prodigy cover.
Yep.
So I want to ask you 2 questions. The first is, which is your favourite? What's your favourite Prodigy cover? And the second one is when you're going to actually release one.
So when we first started, we just played obviously our demos, and it got to the point where we only had 10 songs. So like we were being asked to play like extra long sets, and we thought, okay, what can we do? And I remember like vividly, going to the practice and saying to Lewis, we could do a Prodigy cover and we could do Breathe because I can play Breathe. And he was like, really? And I said, just listen to this. And I remember playing it, him drumming along to it, and that was it. We were like, it can never come out of the set. And that's several years back now. So that will always be in for as long as we're playing. I'll put that on record. We do, I'm not sure that we will release it. I don't know. I've been sort of teasing a release. I've been teasing it. We definitely will record it, and we will definitely be letting people hear it. But I'm not sure whether that will be as a release. I think that should be something extra special for, certain people. So I think we might hold that in our back pocket. But yeah. For the upcoming tour, we are actually, our intro song is a different Prodigy song, so that's going to be quite cool as well.
Any hints at what it might be?
I can tell you, to be fair. So
let's hear it.
We're going to be coming on to Spitfire by the Prodigy,
right?
Because it's just so incredible. Like I was listening to like loads of Prodigy the other day, and I was sending Lewis some clips, and then we listened to Spitfire, and we listened to that opening like few bars of it, and we were like, that's the one. That's the walk-on song. So yeah, we do love the Prodigy. I definitely can't keep that quiet.
That's going to be amazing. Yeah. So your fans can expect something different, something new.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. We're definitely focusing on What a Life. So I know people love. They say, "Oh, play this. Can you play this one from like the demos?" It's not that we're not going to play anything from the other record, but we're certainly going to focus on this new record, and give it sort of that space that it needs to, be shown to people live. So yeah, we're just going to keep it authentic. I think I keep using that word today, but we're just going to keep it very us. Yeah, we are just going to keep it real and just play What a Life through. We're going to try and do most of the songs off the new record. I think there's 1 or 2 that we won't do because they're not. They weren't ever written for live. They were written for record.
Okay.
But yeah, the majority we're going to play, and we're just going to steamroll. Yeah, just in your face, pin you to the wall. You're going to go home, tell all your mates, have a good sleep. Done. It's going to be great.
It's going to be amazing. What's your favourite track of the album? Of What a Life?
We probably both think the same way. Actually, we both love Death Wish. We love Death Wish. That was going to be a single, but it just never happened. But we love Death Wish, and probably Only Human as well. We really love Only Human. We love playing that live as well, so we're excited to get that out there.
It's a punchy track, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's a bit different for us, I think. It sort of shows us in a slightly different light because of what it's singing about. And, you know, we're big fans of, like, obviously old school punk, old school rock. Lewis loves his sort of classic rock and that side of things. But, you know, we're very much into, like, Idols and Amil and, do you know what I mean, that new wave of punk rock, if you like. So, and I think that's the sort of song that can show that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Now, if you could tour with anyone at all, because they might be watching this, you never know, who would you tour with?
Oh, that's. Can I only pick one?
No, you can pick as many as you like.
I love that. Perfect then. Great question. We would love to hit the road with Amil and the Sniffers. Like you know, they're fantastic.
Incredible.
You know, they're great. Weirdly, the guitarist was at one of the Alice Cooper shows. I think one of the
at the Roundhouse. I did the Roundhouse.
Hammersmith Apollo, London.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure he was there because I walked past him and I was like, "Hey, love your stuff," and he just looked at me like, "Cool, man," and that was it. So I was like, he obviously didn't see our set, but you know, you never know. Amil and the Sniffers.
How cool is that?
Sick, right? Definitely them. There's other bands that we love. Like we went to see Skunk and Nancy a couple of years ago. I've said this to you. Yeah, we've spoken about Skunk and Nancy. Like just incredible live. We really enjoy them and their touring. So I mean, that would be a dream. But yeah, there's so many bands. It's really difficult because like you almost feel like you should only play with bands that you're sort of similar to. I think bands pigeonhole them a bit, but I think the Meffs and Skunk and Nancy would be great. The Meffs and Amil is great.
So good.
I was even saying to our agent the other day about like Viagra Boys and some of these like they're just great bands that I'd love to hit the road with. So yeah, there's plenty. There's loads. There's loads.
So many options, and it's opening up. I mean, it's obviously it's early days, isn't it, this year? And I mean, a lot of gigs are still getting posted, well, loads of them. But there are some great bands playing this year, aren't there? There's some great bands touring.
Yeah, some really good tours. Some really good festivals as well this year. Like you know, a lot of our sort of summer is festivals. You know, we do purely festivals from sort of May onwards this year.
Amazing.
Great. It's really good, and there's lots of like newer bands coming up and playing these big festivals that you used to see like just the same sort of names playing. So that's quite cool to see as well.
Exciting times. And which festivals are you playing, and which ones are you most excited about playing?
So we've announced some of them. So we're doing Download Fest this year. We did that 2 years ago, so this year we're playing that one. We are doing. I've got to think which ones I've announced and which ones aren't announced.
You've announced Rebellion, haven't you?
We've announced Rebellion. We're doing Rebellion.
Yeah.
So that's going to be fantastic. We love Rebellion. We've been going. This will be our 4th year, I think, of going.
Really?
And Lewis goes for the whole festival for Download and Rebellion if he can. Yeah. What other ones? Trying to think what else we've actually announced. We're doing Mighty Sounds in Czech Republic, so that's going to be great.
Nice.
Very excited about that one. First time there. We are doing some big festivals this year, but they are the only ones that are announced so far, I think, from memory. We're doing quite a lot of like German and European festivals. But yeah, the sort of UK ones and Central Europe ones haven't been announced yet. So
you've got to keep it to yourself.
Yeah. And it's hard. Really is killing me.
From places like Germany, you're doing really, really well, aren't you? You've played some massive shows out there.
Germany is definitely our place. Germany, Holland, they are, they're really good for us. I think 2024 we probably spent more time in Central Europe than we did gigging in the UK, and it's just how it turned out. We just happened to play more. And I think the other thing is you play more because if you're going to go out there, you almost feel like you may as well book in more gigs while you're out there because it's not easy to get there. So
with all your gear.
It's not, with all your gear and the crossings and stuff nowadays and the cost of it. So, like, Germany is definitely one of our go-to places now. It's sort of a guaranteed party when we play. So that's great. And like I say, Holland is very similar now, sort of. Holland, Germany, get us out there.
Definitely. And who do you think your wildest audience is?
Oh, good question. So in the UK, London is normally pretty wild because it's close enough to us. I suppose it's not a hometown gig because it's sort of an hour away, but it's, you know, if we play in London, we generally aren't playing a hometown gig. So that's our sort of place. But I've got to say, like, Nottingham, Manchester they're pretty wild places to play. Manchester's normally a sellout, so that's one of our go-tos. But in general, I would say Holland. I'd say, like, we played Nijmegen, which I'd never heard of. So we played Nijmegen. It was incredible. The whole room, like, no one stood still. People were falling over. Like, it was just crazy. Nijmegen and Hamburg and Berlin are probably the three cities where we turn up and it's carnage. It's real carnage. It's proper punk. It's where you wish you had a barrier, but you know you're not going to have one.
You get really quick on your feet.
I have to take about probably a foot back where I'd normally stand on the stage. Otherwise, there's people falling everywhere. Crazy.
The first time I saw you play was at Handfest, the Random Handfest, which must be, what's that, 2-3 years ago now?
Yeah, 21 or 2.
And, oh, wow. I mean, that was one wild festival. I mean, I think you were about third from the headliner. I think you were about third. Yeah, about third from the headline. And my God, that audience, they were wild because it was like a packed day of it, wasn't it? There were so many bands playing that day. I mean, considering the time you were on as well, I mean, when you started playing, I mean, when you did your Prodigy track, it was like, I remember, I had a mate, and I remember the floor starting to vibrate.
We've definitely
going.
That always gets people going. That's one of the other reasons to keep it in. That you see people looking at each other when it comes in, and they think they know the song, but they're not quite sure yet what it is. And then as soon as I was like, "Oh, I know it! It's just the song." So but Handfest. God, some of those sort of festivals that we've played have been great. They've been really good for our sort of fan base and gathering new people.
Yeah. Because the great thing about some of those festivals, the smaller ones, I think, is because they're a real platform, aren't they, for bands when they are smaller, because you've got a big audience. And I think, unless you're on social media, it's got to be hard to get out there and to get people listening to your music. But a festival like that, where you've got so many bands and, you know, up-and-coming bands as well as big bands, it must be such an opportunity to, you know, get your stuff out there.
It really is. Festivals, I mean, when you're building, Rebellion's another great example of that. You know, although it's grown and it's a big, it's, you know, the biggest punk festival in the UK probably in terms of the amount of people that come, the sort of bands that play. It's still, you know, really small when you compare it to and Glastonbury. So and it's indoor, but the exposure that gives new bands is massive because you get a whole sort of subsection of people at Rebellion who only go to the introducing stage. So, you know, if you're playing there for the first time, you're guaranteed an audience, and you're guaranteed to pick up new fans from it. And that's the beauty of Rebellion, you know, whether people like it or not, you know, that you get very similar headliners each year. You still get real good opportunity for every other band playing. Like we've never had a bad time at Rebellion. So yeah, that sort of size festival is great, and even smaller ones, like you say. I mean, even in Europe, it's slightly different in Europe because there's quite a lot of arts funding in certain countries. So like Holland, we don't here. So in Holland, like you can be completely unknown. You go to the festival and it's sold out, and everyone's watching you because there's only 2 stages. So like that's a guaranteed fan base build up because people have to come and see you because you're the only one playing.
Does it?
So yeah, that sort of, you know, those sort of capacity venues are great. They're great when you're up and coming, and they're great to still play. Like this year, we're playing loads of sort of 5,000 cap festivals in Europe, and although we've maybe moved up, you know, the lineup, we're still playing those same people because they appreciate it and they love it, and you're still going to get back. It's great.
It's great. And I think, you know, when you're with a band from the beginning, it's amazing, isn't it? You feel like you're part of the journey, don't you? And I mean, you must feel it with bands you go and see, you know, and you carry on, don't you? I mean, I was always like, obviously with your band, but with Skunk Anansie, and when you said about Skunk Anansie, I was like, yes, because I love Skunk Anansie, and I followed them from the very, very beginning, and I've got pretty much every tour and all of this, and it's like something new comes out and you're out there. And it's great. It's like you're part of it. It's brilliant.
Yeah,
and definitely. That's, I think, how your fans are with you, isn't it, really? Like
and I think that's unexpected as well. I think you don't expect that as a band because when you look around at other bands, like, it doesn't happen for everyone. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's so many bands that I remember sort of following and they just sort of petered off and, like, then that's it. And you never really hear from them again.
No.
Whereas, there's definitely something building, like, within the Meffs and the sort of fans, like,
real buzz.
They're proper invested. Do you know what I mean? Like, we have a real cool people that are really invested. Like, they go and tell their mates, like, you have to listen to this band or you're stupid. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's sort of that vibe of, like, excitement. And I love that. Like you say, like, I remember having that with bands when I was younger, like, excitement of finding a new band that you're like, wow, no one really knows about them. And then 5 years later, everyone knows about them. Amil was a really good example. Me and Lewis used to listen to Amil, like, with their debut, their EP that they did. And we were like, this is great. It's so rough. I look at them now, like,
I know. I mean, they have done so well, haven't they? I mean, it's long, their live show, isn't it? I mean, they've got to be one of the best live bands in the world. They really have, you know. And I just think as well, for just pure escapism, you know, and just total escapism. I mean, they are wild gigs, aren't they?
Yeah. And you want to watch, don't you? That's sort of what we try and recreate. Like, you want to give people something that they want to watch, and it does. You know, it's quite easy to fall into that trap. Certainly, from my perspective as a front person, like, you see other front people who are, like, crazy and they're crowd surfing every second song and they're jumping around and they're taking their top off because that's what they can do because they're a bloke who's, you know, ripped. And, like, and it's easy to fall into that trap of thinking, like, I have to do that if I want people to watch us. But you don't, because you watch bands like Idols who they don't do that. You watch Payne's DVC who stand there for the majority of their show. It's so, like, captivating. Because it's about the songs. It's about that, like, performance. You don't have to be, like, this crazy person. It's just about that showmanship. You want people to watch what you've got to say. So, yeah, I think those sort of bands, you know, are doing really good things for up-and-coming bands, to be able to see that you don't have to be this rock star who acts like this. Do you know what I mean?
It puts on this facade, puts it on.
Exactly.
You can keep it real.
Just to be yourself when you get up there. When I come off stage sometimes, I'm like, and Ola will show me a photo and I'll be like, did I really do that? she'll be like, yeah, you did it for half the set. And like, it is just so natural now. Just whatever happens. Like, that's it.
Do you know, one of the best bits about your performance is there are no bells and whistles. There's the two of you up there. The two of you and your skateboard.
Yeah, exactly. The skateboard.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And you just get out there and you just do your thing. And it's like, it just erupts, doesn't it? You know, it's like someone detonates the audience and it just erupts. And you just put on a brilliant show. And it's not all about the lights or the special effects. You just put on that show. And it's your songs, isn't it? Also, your attitude. You know, you've got this sort of punk attitude. And that is what does it. Yeah, like, it really does.
And it goes back to that same word I've said about being authentic. Like,
yeah,
you know, we hate a lot of things in this world that's happening. Like, there's a lot of things we don't agree with. And, you know, we try and, like, be clear about that in our real life, but what better way than to like use your platform that you've got to show that, like, on a stage. That's the place to do it, in my opinion. So that's what I do.
Yeah, damn right, and you do it well, very well. So, you know, we shouldn't really go too much into politics, but, you know, you are Lily from the Meffs, so we can't avoid politics at all in every sense. What do you think about the current political climate in the UK right now? You can use any language.
Any language, yeah. I'll be polite. It's all right. It's before 9 o'clock, before the watershed still, in where I am anyway. Oh, listen, I was one of those ones probably who thought, you know, I'm going to vote for what is going to be the best of a bad bunch. You know, I had that sort of attitude at the time. And it's really unfortunate, I've got to say, how it's turned out, because it's just, you know, is it best of a bad bunch? They're all terrible. They are. We got people running our countries who it feels like, as sort of a lay person, that they are enjoying taking the rights away from people. You know, and I'm not just talking about British politics, I'm talking about politics all around the world. Like, you know, we have people in power who are taking rights away from people. And to me, that's bonkers. Like, that's just, it just doesn't, like, translate in my head. I can't understand why a person want to do that, other than they're a bad person. And unfortunately, they're the people we've got in power. And yeah, I just think it's really unfortunate. And I know people joke and say, "Oh, at least you'll have more to write about." You wish you didn't, because you're living in a country where you've got people running it who don't know what they're doing, or they do know what they're doing, and they're making really bad decisions.
Well, they're so out of touch with actually the regular person who lives in this country. So that they're literally just living in an entirely different world, aren't they?
Yeah, and that's the problem. You know, we have this real sort of like. And this sort of it's difficult as well, because we've been like stages before where we've had different parties in power, and it's been very sort of central. Like, everyone's been very central. It doesn't really matter if you're left or right. Everyone's politics is very central up there. And I think this time, I think some people thought, oh, maybe it's not so central. Maybe he has got these sort of left wing politics, and, you know, he's got people in his party who are real working class, you know, came from real working class backgrounds. And then here we are. So that's it.
Sold a lie.
But aren't we always? Do you know what I mean? We're always sold a lie, and we're the last people to know.
You know, I think when we talked before, when I did my Happy Punk was when I did my radio show, and I know you were talking about what punk means to you, and that you were saying that punk's about having that platform and about having your views and doing something to change what's wrong. You know, and do you still think that's the case?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely still the case. And I think when I talk about politics, and when I talk about politics in our songs, I'm probably not talking about party politics as much anymore. You know, I'm not necessarily talking about like parties like the Tories or whatever. I'm talking about politics as a whole. And for me, like, there needs to be a massive shift in society because, you know, people, it's almost, well, now we've got the sort of social media sensation. People think that they can say whatever they want and get away with it on. They can be racist, they can be homophobic, transphobic, and it's all right because it's behind a screen. For me, that's super dangerous, and that's what our political system is almost allowing. Like, there's no regulation on that. People, they don't care. They're not seeing any of that stuff. And I think being in the Meffs, that's really important to me and to Lewis to challenge that when we see it, because it happens all the time. The amount of times you get people being like, you know, love the music, but, you know, why have they got to bring gender into it? Well, for the exact same reason as in the 70s, they had to bring class into the songs because there were. There's no difference. Like, that is what punk's about. Punk's not about 4 chords and, do you know what I mean? 4 chords and smashing some drums for 1 minute. It's about having a platform and challenging stuff that's not right. And to me, those things aren't right. Like, you can't be into punk and think it's all right to be homophobic or think it's all right to, you know, say things that they say to us. So, yeah, to answer your question, I think it is really important, more so than ever, because, you know, like I said, we're living on social media nowadays. And I think it's got worse.
I agree.
Yeah, because of that.
Yeah, and I think, you know, with the whole thing with social media, I mean, the things that people say on social media, if you said that on the street, you'd be arrested. You know, it's hate crime. You can say it on social media and it's deemed acceptable. I mean, how does that work? You know, when did people's brains get so skewed that they go, oh, that's all right, so I can just put it on social media, it doesn't matter.
Maybe they're just people that don't get out much. You know what I mean?
You have to ask yourself.
Because sometimes I think, like, there is no way if you saw me in a bar, you would say what you've just said to me online. You just wouldn't. You wouldn't dare to do it to anyone.
Exactly.
Like, you just wouldn't dare to do it. And the people that do dare to do it, not the people that are writing all the stuff online. They're people that would say it anyway because they're horrible people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
They're just nasty. They're bullies, and you know, we can deal with them in a different way. But when it's online, I think they're the people that don't have any other outlet. I think they're very lonely, very sad people, and it's no excuse. But I think people say just ignore it, like, don't give them the time of day. But no, I'm not going to ignore anything.
No, and I think to say just ignore it, I mean, we're all human, aren't we? And how can you not be affected by the things you see, by the things you read? Surely it's impossible, because actually to not be affected would be like saying I'm not human, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Or it doesn't matter. I mean, how can it not matter?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
I always remember going to, I shot a Rancid show a long time back, I mean, a good couple of years now, at Wembley, and the Rancid were amazing. And I remember him talking about what punk was to him, and he was talking about inclusion. And he said, everybody in this place, you know, we're in this together, and punk is about inclusion. And he said, you know, if you're racist, if you're sexist, if you're transphobic, you shouldn't be in this gig, because that's punk is about us being in this together. And I just thought it was just absolutely brilliant. And do you know what? The whole place erupted in cheers. I just thought, you know, I mean, you think you've got someone there. He's like such a, you know, an iconic figure in punk, and you know that's how far it goes back, isn't it?
That gives me shivers as well. Like,
it was a tingling, spine tingling.
Like Tim Armstrong saying something like that. They're icons to us. Like, and Out Come the Wolves are in our top 5 albums of all time by far. And bands like the Interrupters that we've played loads of shows with, they do the same sort of thing. It's that same sort of like inclusion. Do you know what I mean? They want everyone at their gigs. And like, if there's people that don't feel able to come to their gigs, they want to know why. And that's great that you've got bands that are that big that are still challenging it. You know, they don't just get to their platform and think, okay, we're here now, we'll just play our shows and get on with our lives. Like, that's really good to hear that they're still doing that. The likes of Rancid. I've actually never seen it live.
Oh yeah, so good. I'll be honest, when I saw them live, I wasn't expecting that much, which sounds really awful to say. And, you know, I thought they've been around for a long time. And I've seen bands who've been around for a long time who go through the motions a bit. But they absolutely didn't. They were just as explosive and just as relevant and just brilliant. You know, absolutely brilliant. You know, and Wembley, obviously not the easiest venue to play, it is essentially a big tin hut. But, you know, to create an atmosphere like that in somewhere like Wembley is a tough one. You know, it's huge, it's cavernous. But from that first note, from that first song, from that first time he spoke,
that was amazing. It. That's cool. Yeah.
Anyway. So tell me about what your fans mean to you.
Oh, we wouldn't be here without our fans. Yeah. That's number one. There's two main people that we thank for, or that make us still here, and that's our fans and grassroots venues. Like, it's simple. We wouldn't be here without either of them. The grassroots venues, they give the people a place to go and discover new music, and that's us. Like, we are the new music. So the fans are everything. I mean, we have sort of we have what's called a Meffs army. So it's run by the fans, run by us. And they sort of run it themselves, and it's just somewhere they can do like meetups before the gigs. So when there's a meetup for each of the gigs, and they go to a pub or do a pub crawl or something, whatever it might be.
How amazing is that?
It's really cool. It's really cool. And there's a few people that have sort of taken that lead role of, right, they'll find the person in that city and be like, right, you're the one doing it, you know, for this gig. So that's really cool. And the fans mean everything. You know, we love seeing people's reactions when we play live. We love giving people something new, you know, when we do like new releases and stuff. Yeah. Nothing more to say than that, really. Love you. That's it.
Oh, that's brilliant. And just one last time, just the last plug. So just remind your fans once again where they can find out about you.
So you can find out about us on our link tree at the moment. So linktree.com/the Meffs. We're on Facebook and Instagram, the Meffs UK, and all our tour dates are on Songkick or bands in town, but you can find them at our link tree.
Amazing. Thank you so much for talking to me today, Lily, and I cannot wait for that garage gig. It's going to be absolutely incredible. You take care now.
Thank you. Cheers, boys.
Bye.
Heavy metal rock. Global mind.